Welcome to another edition of Borderless Bits. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Caleb Christensen, and today we're going to be discussing Quad Sup VSS. And what exactly is Quad Sup VSS? Well, to start our discussion, we're actually going to talk a little bit about the role of a supervisor module. Now, as you know, the supervisor module is essentially the brains of a switch. It's what does all the forwarding, makes all the decisions for your device. Now, in a traditional environment, if the brain were to die, well, we all know that's a bad thing. The entire switch would go down. And that's not something that you would want, especially for a core device. So to solve that problem, we added in a second supervisor module. Now what this second supervisor module does is it gives us the ability to have essentially two brains in our switch that function as a single device. So if one of those brains or one of those supervisor modules were to fail, well, the backup supervisor module would simply take over. Now to enhance this, we added the ability to move that supervisor module into a separate physical device, a separate physical chassis. And we still have the ability to make those two supervisor modules function as a single logical brain for your core network device. Now again, there are two separate physical devices, but they're functioning now as a single logical unit. This gives us the added advantage of being able to dual attach all of our downlink devices, switches, servers, etc. Now, there is a bit of a problem. Granted, just like in a single chassis, if a supervisor were to fail, the backup will take over. But in this kind of an environment, these links here would all stop functioning because an entire chassis would go down with the failure of that supervisor module, essentially leaving us with 50% of the network capacity that we've been paying for, that we should be able to use. Not necessarily an ideal situation. So how do we solve this? Well, the obvious answer is to do like we did with just a single switch, which is to add a second supervisor module into each of the physical devices. And when we do so, this is what's known as Quad Sup VSS. It's essentially taking four supervisor modules and combining them into a single logical brain for your network core. And the advantage that this gives you is that you can now have up to two of your supervisor modules fail. You could even have three fail without experiencing catastrophic outage. But in a two supervisor failure situation, say that 10 times real fast, you still have the capability of having all of the devices function at 100% capacity. So, what exactly is Quad Sup VSS? Well, it's a technology that gives you the highest amount of redundancy with the lowest amount of risk. And yes, there is some investment in the extra hardware for the additional supervisor modules. But that's not the question you should ask. What you should ask is, how much does an outage actually cost your company?